Good morning. I can't hear that. Yeah. I think the benchmark which is set for me is very, very high by my mentor. So it's going to be a difficult job. But then internal auditors should be used to doing difficult jobs. So why shy away from it? Whether you succeed or not succeed, it's a part of how you apply your skills and your learning. So I'll try my best to ensure that I live up to the expectation post her session. When this topic was given, I tried to search what is a skill, because the topic is reskilling. And skill is not very easy to attain. We may think by attending 1 hour session we will achieve skill. So no, that's not possible. You will have to identify the skill gap first. Okay, this is the area where I need to have my skill honed. You will have to then identify where will you acquire that skill from, and slowly by practice on a regular basis you will have to master that skill. So it's good that you are here at least to identify that there is a need to attain more skills, but it is just a starting point. You will have to ensure that you keep on learning, you keep on looking at how do you develop that skill, and over a period of time master it. Somebody had asked a question on AI, and on page 87 of this month's CA journal, there is an article on revolutionizing internal audit, the AI transformation. So it's just come 2 days back, and it's a very good article. I read that article because obviously that was a topic which I also had to present. So please read that article on the Institute journal. Most of the Institute journals we do not look at very closely, but this one I read thoroughly because it was something which I had to speak on. Will AI replace internal auditors? And that's the question, I think, which was there. And over the years, when computer came or when technology, internet came, this question always kept on coming, that will technology will it overpower human beings? And I think it's how we look at it. It's an enabler, it's a tool which we need to use. And if we do not use that, we will be left behind in the race of internal audit. So I would say internal audit per se will not be replaced by AI, but those who do not adopt AI may not be able to do justice to the internal audit or add value. We'll also come to one of the McKinsey's study, which is there in one of the subsequent slides, in terms of how much portion of internal audit can be automated and how much of it will still remain a part of a human domain. So you can read this cartoon. So a junior guy had to finish a report. He gave 4 or 5 bullets to the AI, and the AI generated a 12-page report out of those bullets. And his boss, she is obviously time pressed, and she said, now I have received a 12-page report, I have to do justice to it. And she asked the same AI, can you summarize this into 4 bullets? I mean, it's a full circle, right? That the perspective, the way you use AI is different both for the junior and the senior. There was another cartoon which I read recently in Economic Times, I could not lay my hands on, where 2 people are discussing something, and both of them have a thought that this guy can be replaced by AI. So the first person is thinking about the other guy, that he can be replaced by AI, and the other person also is thinking the same way, that this person can be replaced by AI. I think we can't take it very lightly. Yes, it may take time, but sooner or later we will have to use technology to our advantage. And this is one question which was asked to me last Friday, that how is the practice different in India versus internationally? And it was for an audit seminar. And I said 2 things. One, that we don't use technology as much as we should be using, or what people are using internationally. And second is that we do not specialize as much as we should. So a chartered accountant practitioner will also do internal audit, he will also do a statutory audit, he will also do GST, and he'll also do income tax. So I think these two are the differentiators. And over a period of time, the way we are moving or looking to, emulate the Western world, or maybe that's the growth chart. Same way here also, specialization will have to be more and more on internal audit. We have maybe handful of firms, at least in Bombay, which specializes only on internal audit. And I think there will be more and more firms like that which will specialize in internal audit. I'm from a practice, so I will be speaking more from a firm perspective rather than this chief audit executive in an organization. But I think it's more or less true even for that profession, because even a lot of smaller companies may not have a dedicated role for a chief internal auditor, but that also would change. Generally, in industry, what I have seen, and maybe I'm wrong, Satish sir and others can correct me, is that yes, there is a chief internal auditor, but a lot of other tasks also get added to them based on requirement, and they are considered as somebody who will be a filler to ensure that the task gets done or a project gets completed on time. So with this background, so I don't have a song or a poem or a ghazal, but the cartoon was slightly different, and that was to ensure that all of you pay a little more attention to this thing, which is a reality. I also have few videos, and I'll play first video.
Full autonomous operation, and that's really the fantastic thing. The drones are flying, let's say they're controlled by the system. They know exactly to each centimeter where they're located to. So it's also that we don't have to read barcodes and the position of a rack, but of course the drone knows where it is, and then by scanning the barcodes or taking the picture, we can compare that with the information we have in our systems.
During the pilot, we saw that for now the system already saves us more than 50% of our time in collecting the inventory. When the system will be up and running in full, I would expect that we would save 80% in counting our full pallet inventory in total.
Fantastic. It's a great team. Not only great product, it's a great team, and it is great openness and motivation. Everyone was really impressed, again, not only about the product, but also about the team and what we could do together.
So what we saw there was a inventory verification, which is completely automated. So as an internal auditor, and that's what I was asking Atul also recently, that do you all take inventory verification assignment? Because as sorry, I'll talk about it later. I'll first go to the second video and then come back on this video. Click on it.
इसमें
नहीं डायरेक्टली भी हो जाता
ले रहा डायरेक्ट नहीं हो रहा पहले को क्लिक हुआ था मारो मारो वही नाम तो यही है
So it's okay. The second one is about a
सेकंड वीडियो
process automation, which says that how. Yeah, which we'll play that video at the end, which shows that how an accounting entry will be completely automated. You save all the invoices in a standard format in a folder, and from the folder it would read and yeah.
Have you ever wondered what robotic process automation, or RPA, can do for you? In short, it provides a competitive advantage by helping you improve both accuracy and speed of operations while radically driving down costs. So how does it work? In this video, we'll show you how a UiPath streamlines an invoice process end to end. You are about to see a robot performing the following activities. Monitoring a dedicated folder where invoices are saved in PDF format. Reading invoices from that folder one by one. Extracting key information from the invoices. Opening SAP. Filling in invoice details in SAP. Sending email notifications. Please note that the robot will do some activities in the background, such as most of the invoice-related actions, monitoring a folder or checking its email address. Now let's see it working. Right now, it's monitoring a folder where 3 invoices are stored and collecting all the information needed so it can register them one by one. It then asks the tester to introduce the email address where the posting notification will be sent, and also performs basic checks to see if the SAP is open and runs it on its own if not. Logging into SAP using its credentials, it then starts processing the invoices one by one. We can see it filling in data such as vendor code, invoice date, invoice number, invoice amount, invoice description, and GL account, and ends up by filling the payment term. Following that, it registers the remaining 2 invoices in the assigned company code. An email containing the SAP registration number is sent automatically by the robot after successfully registering each invoice. Checking in the background, the robot verifies whether the VAT on the invoice matches the one in our database, and if so, will post it automatically. Otherwise, it will park it and send a dedicated email to the responsible person highlighting this difference and asking what to do. Post the invoice or to cancel it and send it back to the vendor. All the invoice's details are visible in the email it sends, so let's reply with yes to the message for an invoice with a VAT difference. Finally, it will check its email address in the background, access SAP using the appropriate transaction code, and post the invoice. And that's it. The robot has successfully posted the 3 invoices in SAP. Do you want to know more? We're happy to help. Contact us here.
So the objective of showing, this was 2016 if you could see. So we are in 2025. 9 years back, this process was already there. So the technology would have developed much better over the years. And if this is the way the company is operating, how would you do an internal audit of that company? What areas will you really look at? So I think we all need to think outside the So we all need to think outside the box or get ourselves adapted with the new technology so that what happens is that we are fully in line with the expectation from internal audit. Chalega, that's okay. Sure. Yeah. So, and that is what I was speaking to the organizers, that I'm also covering some portion of AI. And they explained me that, no, your knowledge on AI is very poor. So you will maybe cover only a smaller portion of that AI. Actual thing will be covered tomorrow. So what you mentioned is right in that sense, because it's not that we are fully using some of this. We are using only maybe a fraction or the tip of it at this point of time. But the objective is to understand that what is that gap, and over a period of time, bridge that gap. With younger generation in the profession, is becoming easier. They are more adaptable to technology as compared to people who have, like me, who have crossed 50. And so that's the advantage, you know, that's the advantage of a balanced team, that you have an experience of an older guy and the skill sets of a younger guy, which will make the internal audit more valuable. So 3 days back, I did an this credit card transaction, and the amount was slightly high. And immediately I received a call saying, okay, please confirm whether this is your transaction. It was an automated call, and I had to say yes. And if I said yes, that transaction will go through. Otherwise, it will reject the transaction and probably block my credit card also. So what is that? That's an audit. They suspected that this transaction is a misuse of a credit card which belongs to me, and to confirm that there is no misuse and somebody is not fraudulently, there has been a theft of a credit card or a phone, and based on that, somebody is not trying to use your resources. So this suspectful transaction, they confirmed, and then they went ahead. On the same day, I did another transaction, and a call came again. I could not attend that call because the voice was not clear. That was not an automated call, that was a manual call. So the first was an automated, the second was a manual call. And because I could not attend that call, they blocked my card. And then they sent an email, which was an automated transaction monitoring email. And I had to reply to that mail that yes, this is a genuine transaction, and please unblock my credit card. So what is this? And you would also have received, right? Don't you see SMS in your inbox saying, if you have not done this transaction, please block your account or call so-and-so number. Yeah. So it is trying to stop wrong transactions. That's an audit, that's a control. And it's an automated control. So we need to understand that the role of internal auditor is shifted to something else. Yes, that transaction monitoring also had a call center, and you could do a call center, speak to that person and ensure that, okay, everything is okay, please allow the transaction to go through. And that is where the concept of continuous audit is there. So audit is not a period end activity. We all think it's a period end activity. We need to remove that notion. It's a continuous online activity. Who does it and how it is performed is a different thing, but it is continuous. It is predictive analysis. And we'll come a little more on that predictive analysis a little later. And with this bot doing all this, what is left for human beings? Human beings will have to use their gray cells to provide more insights. They cannot just say, okay, this voucher is not correct or this voucher is not approved. That will not help. And this has always been true, that if a voucher is not approved or is not correct or is not correctly classified, always go to the root cause. Because unless you go to the root cause, you will not be solving it for future. And the session today here is future-proofing internal audit. So which means how is internal audit going to be after 10 years? And I am not sure whether Madam covered that part of it, but we all need to visualize, and we may have a different visualization. It's okay. There may not be one single answer to what internal audit would be after 10 years, but at least we have some clarity, or even if there is no clarity, we have something in our mind, and then we will go towards achieving that over a period of time. Audit of technology developed. I think again, we are all chartered accountants and we feel that it is our domain expertise. No, it's not our domain expertise. So unless if you are an internal auditor and you have a team who are smarter than you in terms of technology, you may not be able to deliver the required internal audit deliverables. So, and incidentally, I'm slightly lucky. My son is doing AI and machine learning, and he keeps on telling me that how outdated I am. He, in his college project, developed a program which is basically selection of chartered accountants. So what does the ChatGPT do? It has a question bank. So 20 questions are given to that person to see whether he goes to the next level or not. And these are automated questions. They randomly keep on changing. And I've experienced it because he has prepared it. And he told me, why don't you use it in your office? I said, no, I don't want to use it in my office. My HR team is doing, my other staff is doing the interviews. But, I mean, he did this program for another company where it is little more, less subjective, I would say. Our area is little subjective in nature, and hence a selection process by a program to filter the candidates may not be the best way. But I'm just giving you an example that this is something which I saw at my home, and he's just 22 year old. So we'll come to the dashboard for audit reporting. Whatever work you do, you may have done a brilliant work, but if you are not able to package it correctly, then it will all go waste. Yeah? And what does packaging mean? And we'll go through that one slide, which is interactive report. You would have seen in your mutual fund statements saying interactive mutual fund statements. I'm sure somebody or the other would have seen that, where it is customizable. It is modular in nature. And hence the internal audit also will have to become modular in nature. You can select what you want to see. Yeah, so that is in my view, the future of internal audit. My prediction could be 0 out of 10, or it could be 7 or 8 out of 10. We will know it only in future. I think most of you would be aware about this, that a traditional does a sample testing, and a lot of time we had to convince our clients, at least 5-10 years back, that a sample testing is representative, and there were questions while we were giving a proposal where client asked us, how much percentage of sample will you select? So we would say 5%, and he said, no, we want 20% sampling. I said, then the cost will increase. Those days are gone now. Those days are gone. That was a dialogue of maybe 7, 8, 10 years back. Now they expect you to do 100% coverage, and it is possible at least in some of the areas. I would say 40-50% of the areas it is possible to do 100%. Even in SAP, when you import data, to make it readable, or where you can do an analysis on that data itself, is not always very easy. You know, sometimes the date format has to be changed, or there could be additional items which you may have to remove. So using data which is imported from SAP, it's not that it's a cakewalk after that. There may be some use of further activities which are required before you can do your data analytics. And that all can be automated. We saw the RPA reconciliation, the robotic process automation, and it means that there are faster audit cycles. in terms of traditionally you were focusing on past events, now it is predictive and prescriptive insights and forward-looking risk detection. Yeah, so this is how it is. We saw the example of predictive and the preventive risk assessment. Reports were static and prepared manually. My first report, when I prepared in Word, I automated the table of content. And that was one of the feature in Word. This I'm talking about 25 years back, where the table of content, if you had rightly selected the heading type, could be automated. Now today the whole report can be automated. Yeah. In fact, last few years, I've stopped looking at Word reports. They are all in PPT. And they are saying PPT is also outdated now. So, you know, things are changing in terms of on a regular basis. This will be a real-time dashboard, interactive visualization, and automated summaries. And if you have used ChatGPT, how many of you have used ChatGPT here? Yeah, most of you all have used ChatGPT. So it does give good results. We have all seen it. The language is more polished. So we used to spend a lot of time in correcting grammar and spellings and the flow. I think that is automatically taken care of, which means we have to perform better duties now. And what are those better duties? Fraud exception detection. Earlier it was reactive and identified after occurrence. Now it is proactive real-time alert via audit hooks. Audit hook means that there is a limit which is set. And if it goes beyond that limit, it will have one more level of control. Yeah, so if somebody may set a limit of 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 3 lakh, whatever that transaction, depending on that, there is a audit hook, which is an alert at that point of time. And beyond that, another control will get triggered. So the basic control is satisfied, but it will trigger another control. And surprisingly, we use OTP a lot. That's a control. In US, when you use your credit card, they don't ask for PIN. Whereas in India, we have the PIN. So we have always been used to this additional level of controls. It's nothing new. So let's look at how AI or technology is going to impact the profession. And this is what I said. This is the McKinsey slide. On the left-hand side are the activities. On the second left-hand side of the line is how much will be automated or not automated. And on the right-hand side, it is most probably that it will be automated. So if you look at the general accounting, they are saying 77% can be automated. And 12% can be somewhat automated. There is nothing difficult to automate in accounting. Whereas if you look at internal audit, you have 40, 40, 10, 10. Which means 10% can be fully automated, 10% is highly automable, another 40% is somewhat automable, and 40 is difficult to automate. Are you with me on this? These slides will be given, sir, don't worry. So, again, this is the skill gap assessment which we are doing. Yeah? You need to judge what is your score. And based on your score, you will have to understand how much more efforts are required from your side. I cannot give you skills, but I can only open your mind in terms of understanding what the skill gap is. Current use of AI. This may be slightly repeated again and again. So you have reports, risk scenarios. In fact, one of my team members was saying that if you have let's say 20 observations with risk high, medium, low, it will automatically prepare a risk map. Yeah? You have graphs which we were using. Now the graphs also will be used in a different way. Smart analytics, detect duplicate invoices, unusual vendor payments. This is already happening. We have ACL and IDEA which are used ACL and IDEA both are data analytical tool where you can have standard queries in terms of the data. So whether the date sequencing is correct or not, whether there is a duplicate invoice or not, whether the amounts are matching or not. Based on all that, there would be a deviation or anomaly reports. Spot anomalies in financial and operational data, predict control failure and emerging risk, and cluster transactions to uncover fraud. This cluster transaction, I'll just give you an example. Let's say your purchase order has a limit of 10 lakhs and you have 15 transactions of 9 lakh. It will cluster all those transactions, see whether the date range is within a particular date and tell you, okay, the control has been misused. So you had an authority matrix, but somebody has misused that data. Now, this, you can do it manually also. But if it is by a press of a button, obviously it's easier, right? Something which is by the press of a button is always easier. And I'll give you another example, how technology has impacted. Anybody in practice here? Yeah. So 6 years back, pre-COVID, the number of peons which my office had, now I need 50% of that capacity. Because everything is online filing. Your tax, you don't have to wait in a line to do the filing. Your banking, we have completely automated the e-net, completely. So no checks are issued. More and more inward is also through direct NEFT. Earlier, wo payslip bharne ka. So you have 50% capacity post-COVID. So this is a reality, and we need to understand that. We already saw the RPA video. Auto-generate working papers and reports is something which I will come to. So there are dedicated softwares for internal audit. It's a ERP for internal audit. And that ERP for internal audit will generate, you will be able to upload your checking notes and upload your working papers so that it is preserved in a proper manner. Optical character recognition, extract data from invoices and contracts and find out whether the contract has any missing clauses. So this is another thing which you can do, that you had a draft contract which you were to sign, and then the actual contract came. It can compare both of them and say whether they are actually same or not same. NLP is reviewing contract policies for non-compliances, analyzing email. Again, email, I'll share one investigative assignment which I was not a part, but I heard one of my colleagues do it. So there was a fraud investigation. The guy who was expected to do the fraud, it was already identified, his laptop was taken. From his laptop, based on his emails were scanned, and it came out with a photograph of that person with the vendor owner having a vacation outside. And this was all done automated. So, and that's how it was proved that, okay, there is some connection or some kickback which is happening in terms of the vendor arrangements. And this was done through a software. So you have NLP as one of the tools. The benefits of using technology, I think most of us know about it. Utilization of scarce resources, and that's where somebody said that if new people are not coming to the profession, maybe we also need to evaluate how much more do we need. Do we really need too much, or can we automate it? And automate could be a solution for this resource scarcity. Reduce time and cost of IA activity, improve productivity, increase coverage and assurance, and focus on non-conventional audit areas and emerging risk. This last part is very important. It's not that the internal audit, the traditional areas will go away, new areas will surface. And you need to be ready for those new areas. And I remember 15 years back, 10 years back, we did a website review. That is the content in the website correct, not correct, is it updated, how regularly it is updated. A lot of people don't even focus on some of these items. So there are a lot of areas which you can do. Culture audit is one thing which has emerged now. You have ESG and sustainability is another area which is coming up very largely. This is a window from ChatGPT, And I just wanted to show you something which is slightly different. If you see this one, the first one, assist in generating internal audit report, executive summaries, finding observations by Shakti Swaram. So he has created a database. It's an open source AI. And hence he has created a database and it's dedicated for internal audit activity. So within ChatGPT, there are sub-classifications, or people would have created the data which is more relevant from an internal audit perspective. So similarly, you will have for SOP. Similarly, we will have for report drafting. I think it's there below. So you see, even ChatGPT there is a dedicated version only for internal audit. So you need not use the general version. If you are a paid licenser, you can use the dedicated version. This is Institute's GPT on internal audit, official ICAI AI internal audit GPT. So if you have an IFC, internal financial controls, and that's an area which takes otherwise a lot of time in terms of drafting and all that. My office did an assignment where they used this very extensively to come out with a IFC model, or the RCM, risk control metrics, which we talk about. So it's being used, and the use will increase as we progress further, as they become more smarter, as the data there is more refined. So we need to be aware about this and start using it. So risk profiling can be done through the use of technology. Test data simulation can be done. Sampling obviously has been done over the years through the software. Audit execution could be your progress of the project can be monitored. If there are fraud indicators or risk identification, predictive, those can be done through the software. Risk quantification, real-time exception, and root cause investigation. So again, sometimes when we give high, medium, and low, this question comes to us that why did you rate this high? Why did you rate this medium? So if you set a logic in your software or ERP that if it is statutory and if it is above, let's say 10,000, or if the delay is more than 2 days, it will automatically become a high risk. So you can have those rules, put it as a part of your software, and it will automatically. So this reduces the friction between the auditor and auditee in terms of saying that is this really a high risk, because that's something which you agree in advance. And let's say if you're not able to agree with the auditee, then you will have to involve little more, but it's a one-time process of trying to understand how the risk rating will be given, and then you don't always have to have lot of argument कि नहीं ये तो medium है, ये तो एक ही case था, why are you penalizing us for that? So I've seen this a lot. Some people give rating between 1 to 5, some people give high, medium, low, some people give red, orange, and green. But it can be standardized and be used as a part of a software tool to give the risk rating. I was saying the ERP for internal audit practice. So there are some of these softwares. Walter Klug has already this software which is there, and it does most of the things. So in terms of planning, monitoring, and it depends on how you use it, because if somebody has already done an area, that will be there in that database, and you can always pull the expertise which is required for future use. It does the end-to-end activities of your internal audit can be completely automated. But you need to have that critical mass, you need to have that discipline. We know that ERP means that there cannot be shortcut, there cannot be a flexibility. We need to be, our mindset needs to change from that perspective. There could be predefined reports which are there, PO without purchase requisition, three-way matching not met, automated exception reporting for unusual transactions which can be again automated, continuous auditing through audit hooks to flag exceptional transaction, automated standard auditing procedures, missing serial number, duplicates, etc., credit risk assessment and designing dashboard and exception report. So this is the report which I was speaking about. So this is a report, okay? On the left-hand side are the various slicers. So you can decide what you want to see. If there are exceptions, or if you want to look at the month-wise data or a product-wise data, you can just look at the date, tax rate, and product. And you can look at, so if there is an observation which is three-dimensional in nature, and you want to see that which particular user is making this mistake, you would be able to do it with this. Yeah. Obviously, it is both user-friendly also, because visual has more impact than written words. Here, everything is more or less visual in nature, and when we say interactive, means the person who is receiving it can decide what he wants to see, what he or she wants to see. Are we good till now? I think this question doesn't require, but nonetheless, and this is a question for all of you. If you can read and answer this question, where are you and where do you want to go in terms of the maturity level of data analytics, naive, aware, defined, managed, and enabled? Where are you? Anybody on stage 5? Anybody over here on stage 5? Huh? That's a good one. Yeah, so we know we need to reach this stage 5. Yeah, where we are able to use data analytics and it is fully embedded in the internal audit activity, and that's very important. Because controls are getting embedded in transaction. If controls are getting embedded in transaction, how do you check that control? So as I said, I'm here to show the mirror and you judge it yourself. Again, why do you need is because there is an expectation, because there is data explosion, because cybersecurity and compliance risk are increasing regularly. We also spoke about hybrid work environment and remote auditing, because after COVID, a lot of assignments are being done where you are not necessarily at the ground level. And second, you are not alone when you're doing an assignment. You may have multiple team members with different expertise also. So in the last 3 years, we have submitted 3 proposals where I had to tie up with an IS auditor to give the proposal, because I could not have done it myself. They required somebody who had the IT expertise, because their data is like that. You know, this is like clearing corporation and things like that, where there is so much of data that you alone will not be able to do the internal audit, and they require that you have somebody who is an expert on that area. So you have to jointly prepare a proposal. It's like that multidisciplinary firms, but you join hands and give your internal audit proposal. The short attention span, and I have understood it's 45 minutes. So today you are already past that, more or less, but we'll see whether we can manage beyond that. So attention span has obviously, you know, we have spoken about elevator pitch and things like that. And I have always believed that, and that's where report writing has been one of my strengths over the years. And it has now got converted into what people say as storytelling. It's very important that you understand what messaging you want to give and how you are giving that messaging. According to me, 50%, and this is my belief, maybe 40–50% of your all activity would depend on how effectively you have drafted your reports. And that's where technology can very, very heavily be useful. Most of the times I'm able to pick up that this has come through ChatGPT. You know, because some of the words which people use are like that, but I think we will get used to it. So there is one gentleman in my office. He's in the GST team. There are 3 managers. He's one of them, and he uses ChatGPT extensively for all submissions, because his English is poor. He's from a vernacular medium, whereas other two are from the English medium. But he has mastered that skill. Then what you need is a little more edit function. Ensure that this unwavering is coming from ChatGPT. So I don't want to use unwavering. There are certain terms based on which you are able to identify that this has come from ChatGPT. And I think even if people know that this is from ChatGPT, what's wrong? Why are we feeling shy about it? So I think we'll get used to it more and more. Again, as internal auditor, there is a technology partner and there is an auditee. As an internal auditor, are you the bridge or do you want to be the bridge? You will have to determine that. And can you be the bridge? Yeah, you had these acceptance tests where internal auditors were involved, user acceptance test. And most of the ERP implementation which has failed is because of this bridge not being there. The disconnect between the person who is configuring the ERP to your requirement versus the auditee. Auditee does not have time. And I've seen a listed company and they had to go to the stock exchange and say that their ERP implementation was a failure. They have mentioned this, and because of that, these are the problems which they are facing. It's a listed company. So ERP implementation is definitely relevant, and that's some of the roles which you can play, but you need to know technology yourself. And you need to know what are those common errors, what are those lapses, what are those faults which people are going to make. And then you can direct the assignment. Identify potential areas of automation and both automation of a process and control automation. And that's what I'm again and again repeating, that the controls are getting more and more embedded within the process. And wherever the control is not embedded in the process, you have to question that, does it need to be embedded? And we've already come far off, right? Earlier we had this, before ERP, a purchase voucher where purchase order was not there. Now it is controlled. So that happened in one stage of ERP. Now you have to see what are the other things which can be completely control automated. Create checklist inherent controls for areas being automated. Review the results and reports. Define standard parameters and standards for exception. So again, you could be a catalyst to ensure that the controls are getting more and more automated. Today, the transaction entry is actually happening by the users, end users. Yeah, so I have a client which is into giving loans, and it is only a smart app. So you have to download the app, you have to put your pay slip, you have to give your social, Facebook and other accounts, and based on that, they come up with an SCQ, that is your social quotient, and based on that, they will directly reimburse pay you the loan. Now, the whole activity of accounting is eliminated because the loan, both the credit worthiness process as well as the loan is completely automated. Now, how will you?
Is there any other app that will repay the loan?
I guess that's what we will see in future. We will see that something like that in future. But what I'm trying to say is that the full activities as well as the actual disbursement of loan is completely automated. There is no accounting entry. There is nobody signing it. And you have to do that internal audit. What will you do? Yeah. But they are saying ना वो accept करने का ना आपको terms and conditions तो होगा ना. They are allowing it. See, this is that company's USP. They are saying we will. Yeah. So see, the data privacy is a separate chapter, and we'll come to that data privacy. But here, it's more easier. They have come up with this model, and they feel that that's what working. At one point of time, they had 1,500 crores as loan book. Yeah. So, which subsequently shrink, but because RBI is becoming more and more stricter, RBI doesn't want some of these things to, RBI has its own way. They don't want smaller NBFCs to survive, so, because they're not able to control and monitor it. So what are the challenges? I don't have time.
I don't think I can do it. I don't know how to do it. So standard things which we have for all things which is new. But there is one change, that actually technology can be used to learn technology. And this is very important. You know, there are smaller videos, there are courses which are online. It is completely flexible. You can start and stop when you want. It will give you those question answers which you need to answer. So you will have to use technology to learn about technology or getting more skills. And that's something which is important. So there's obviously resistance to change, integration of learning with daily work, and the cost constraint. Again, training which is required will be different for each level. And you cannot equate that. The training which is required for a junior to a middle level and to a senior level are completely different. I mean, if the senior knows from the base level, it's always good. I'm not saying no, but at least the mindset and the perspective is different. You will have to tailor make those skills. So if you are in your office and you want to do skill development, so the question is, what is it that you need to develop? What is it that your juniors need to develop? And what is it that the just fresh articles or chartered accountants need to do? You will have to identify all three, because you are practicing and you are in charge of the overall activity. So just to sum it up, you require data analytics skills, you require automation literacy, you require cyber security risk and ITGC awareness, you require collaboration in a hybrid environment with hybrid teams, and communication and storytelling. So I would say that if you are reskilling, these are the 5 areas which you should focus on, again depending on where you are. Data analytics, as I said, data preparation, skill to extract clean and merge data sets. So again, understand where the gap is, which your clients, what database are they using? Are they using SAP? Are they using FarVision? Are they using Navision? Because the learning could depend. Yeah, I'll take it. Yeah, the learning could depend based on that. Visualization skills to turn. So I have one person in my office. He uses this Visual Basic and Power BI. So our timesheet data, he converts it into that and he shares with all the partners. Because partners don't want to look at timesheet data. Timesheet data देखेंगे तो then performance analysis करना पड़ेगा. So वो power data उसको एक chart में ही दिख जाता है कि this is your timesheet data. You are 70% of your team has filled up the timesheets. Then you know that there is a gap of 30. And it's through that Power BI, and he's using Visual Basic and Power BI. So I think it depends on how you want to use it. So these are some of the tools. Advanced Excel, macros is what we have seen. Visual Basic, Power BI and Tableau. Build interactive dashboards for exception, trend, and KPI. IDEA and ACL we have already seen, and Power Query in Excel. And as I said, you will have 1 or 2 people in your office who will be expert in some of this. Not everybody would be like that. But are you able to channelize that resource to ensure that you get your desired result? Automation literacy, understanding the emerging trends, which is what we are trying to see. Continuously update skills as tools and platforms change. Automate daily repetitive tasks, which will free up for more value-added activity. And think proactively. Can this process be automated? Can this control be automated? Yeah. What can go wrong? And how do we prevent one step before? So it's more preventive than actually post-mortem and saying that this went wrong. But how can I prevent it? How do you get this literacy? These are some of the online platforms, professional bodies like Institute, and micro-learning apps like Adapt, Skillshare. This micro-learning is basically small videos. They convert into tutorials which are easier to understand. It allows you hands-on training wherever required. And I've seen a lot of people learning through YouTube. I've never been able to do it myself, but I've seen that people actually acquire skills through YouTube. Huh? All the cooking recipes. The cybersecurity is another risk which we need to be aware about, or the IT general controls. And whether it is segregation of duties or whether it is tolerance and thresholds, we need to understand all this, review parameter changes, understand cybersecurity risk. So understand this whole thing and try to gather more and more information about it. As an auditor, most of the time, our suggestion has always been take cybersecurity insurance without really getting into the depth of what is the risk, what can be achieved, not achieved by other mechanism rather than insurance. So we always try to transfer that risk to a third party. In the hybrid environment, you have skills which you need to develop, and this is something which at least I get very annoyed with, people not switching on their camera. People, when they're attending a virtual meeting or a Zoom or a Teams meeting, they will be on a t-shirt and not on a shirt. I think some of these are things which at least I feel, old school of thought, that should be taken care of. Even if you are attending from home, you should be presentable and not that you have just woken up and you are in your night suit. So I think some of these are the skills which you will have to teach your team members. It's difficult, but you need to do it. Share concise meeting minutes. This is something which at least I have seen, and you would also have seen, that when you go on any of the platform, they will ask about an AI tool which will prepare the minutes of the meeting or a transcription of the. So it's become so easy, right? Earlier we used to take notes or remember things. Now those minutes are automatically prepared. Internal auditor will have to partner with the technical team and ensure that we are updated at least to the basic level, and then how do we use their skill sets to ensure that our objectives are met. So, as I said, storytelling, summarization, executive summary, report. In fact, what was more like a summary earlier is now the report. So report itself has become a summary, and then you have to further summarize it. And at times, you're given 15 minutes, 20 minutes to communicate your observation, and you have different independent directors seeking different comfort from you and constantly changing the goalpost. So it's not always easy. When you put your point across, somebody wants a detailing, somebody wants a macro perspective. So how do you balance that? I think that will come through experience, but you need to practice those skills. I'll just share one incident. The independent director in one of the meetings said that, why don't you look at this thing also? And we were the statutory auditors and internal auditor was somebody else. And then we thought, okay, she's asking to increase the scope. Who is going to agree on the fees? Yeah, so independent directors will always talk about something more, but it is not something which is agreed with the client on scope. So if the scope has to increase or the detailing has to increase, as a professional, you also need to be mindful that please don't agree on everything and anything which the director asks, but say that, okay, we will discuss with the client on this assignment and come back to you. And this has really happened in front of us. Make reports interactive, we already spoke about that. Training and knowledge sharing with digital tools. I think fix up every Friday in your office where people share the observations, people share new things which they have done. because if one person has done something different, then that benefit should come to everybody else in the organization. Build that library. What AI cannot do is talk about ethics. It will not know what is ethical and what is not ethical in that sense. And I think that's where the human judgment has to be used in terms of the code of conduct. Professional skepticism is something which is outside the domain of internal auditor, and that's been one of your strengths. So maintain those strengths. Analytical thinking. The AI or the technology will do what you tell it to do, but what to tell the technology what to do is something which is still the human domain. So that should be retained. Stakeholders handling, which is what I spoke about, discussing with them in terms of what are your insights. Commercial acumen is something which may not be available with an AI. And another example which I will give is that you have subcontracted something. Now, are the clauses back to back? Now, AI may not automatically be able to do it unless you tell the AI to look at those two contracts of the main principal contract and the subcontract to see which are the risks which you have retained with yourself. Technology can enhance execution and analysis, but ethics, judgment, skepticism, analytical thinking, and stakeholder management remain the irreplaceable. These are the principles, some of the principles which do not change with time. So are you ready for internal audit in AI environment? So that's the question, IA or AI. You just need to replace the terms and you would have a better deliverable, which is value added. And I think if we need to increase our, either when we say fees or our value, we'll have to constantly look at the things which we are doing, how we are doing, and what we need to change. Because we are doing the same for the company. We are constantly trying to evaluate and assess the company's performance. But what about our own performance? Yeah. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, I don't think there will be any questions. Yeah, you have some question. Yeah, you are audible. Thank you. Thank you.
When we do come up with something, it adds more value when it is upstream or it is taken into account before or during
Yes.
the transaction.
Yes.
Whereas audit is traditionally something
Post-mortem.
which is downtail.
Yeah.
Post-mortem.
Yeah.
So the thing is that we will bring value to the table, and the value will really amplify when it is put into the transaction as, say, embedded controls.
Yeah.
So in this environment, skilling for us, I think, comes in two dimensions. One, of course, is learning what all this new technology brings, but also beating it at the game to bring in more and more things. So I will just take one example of the drone camera that you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So of course, it's a great idea to use it for audit, but it's a greater idea to probably use it, say, day-end closing, stock taking, which is done in the business. So in this scenario, and considering that most of the budgets will be given for ops and less for audit, and how, I just want to hear your thoughts on how really we can bring up skilling and beating it at the game every time, because you bring value, it's taken into the business.
Yeah, I think the expense part is because 6 years back, I had been requested for a pharma company to do a stock take, and actually some of the material was stored at a very high ceiling, and it would not have been possible for you to take a ladder and do that stock counting. So you had to use drones, and it became very, very expensive. I think you have to convince the management to use common resources. So even if the drone is used for a day-to-day activity, can you use it once in a while? for your activities. And I'll give you another example that if barcoding is proper, the scanners are not as expensive. So what I mean to say is that you need not always count. You may have to scan things and you may have to use different technologies to achieve your result. I think the preventive control is always more valued. So start thinking, what is the preventive control which I can suggest on this area? If let's say the authority matrix is there and the ERP is there, which means the PO will not go unless it is approved. And if you find one instance where it is gone, try to say that what is that additional preventive control which I should have so that it does not go through. So resource challenge, yes, for larger organization it is easier. Even if you come up with this idea to the management, okay, this is what will be the benefit. Maybe you will have to sell that idea to the management so that they are able to give you those resources.
So maybe we can take on.
They will save it for tomorrow when Narasimhan is there. Thank you. Thank you.